I can ask any able-bodied people, if I could ask anything of an able-bodied person, it would be, hi again guys, today I wanted to talk about things in which I need able-bodied people to understand. Now, I was once able-bodied and I did not understand these things before I became disabled, and as many of you probably know, I am disabled because of my EDS and it affects my right leg. Now, I got diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. However, some doctors are now saying I haven't got it, others are saying I have, so that's still a complete and utter mess. I thought it was over with, it's not. So I'll keep everyone up to date with what's going on there currently because of COVID. Nothing else has happened. Anyway, going on a complete tangent now. So, things in which I need able-bodied people to understand. Now, the first one is very obvious, it's very well known now. It's that not all disabilities are seen. You can't visually see all of the disabilities that are out there. Now, I'm very, well, I don't know whether you call this lucky or what, because I don't think having a disability is lucky, but people don't question when I say I have a disability, because it's very seen. I have a brace on my leg, I have braces on my ankles, I use crutches, so you can visibly see that I have an injury or a disability of some sort. Now, everyone automatically assumes it's an injury because of my age, and for some reason it's skiing. I have no idea, but it's skiing for some reason. But some people aren't as visible as I am. Now this has been a big thing on social media I say recently, it's been quite a big thing lately, about how basically everyone just has to be kind. Some people don't have a visual disability, and yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this one kind of at this point. Now, me as a disabled person, I like to think that I can do almost everything that an able-bodied person can do. I just have to do it a lot slower. Now, I joke and say that in particular, especially at job interviews, because, you know, why wouldn't you try and make yourself seem less disabled? But there are obviously things that I physically cannot do anymore, like walk or go for a run. Those things I cannot actually do anymore. I would, even if I didn't have the pain in my right leg, I would probably still fall to pieces, because with EDS you disculate really easily, and that's what I do, so I would probably still fall to pieces because of the high impact on my legs. But even with that, there are ways in which you have ability around it. For example, I want to do horse riding. I really, really love horses. I always have, and there is such a thing as disabled horse riding. But I think I love it more now because of the fact that I just can't go running. But I'll get into that more so. There is the things in which I cannot do, there are ways around. So I cannot bring cups up the stairs. So instead I put cups, dirty cups and stuff like that, into a basket, and someone else takes it down the stairs for me. So I can do that now. Washing. I have a bag for washing now that's sitting over my shoulder that I can get washing up and down the stairs. The things in which I can't yet do, I haven't figured out ways around it yet. So I pretty much can do everything that an able-bodied person can do. I just have to figure out a way around it. Something that I know a lot of able-bodied people probably won't get. I mean, you will understand, but you might have never seen. But discrimination is still a very real thing. I mentioned it in one of my other videos about how terrible an interview went. I'll put that at the top, wherever the top is. But it is still a very real thing, and it still happens daily. Now, I'm very lucky in the area in which I live. People tend to mind their own business, they tend to stay out of the way, and the people that I have come into contact with tend to be very nice. And if I did ask for help, I don't, but if I did, they would. My area is a very nice area, and I've only ever come into contact with the discrimination every now and then. But in particularly when I worked, because I used to work in a pharmacy, I had to stop because of my disability just becoming too much. People would call me the slow one, or they didn't want me because I was too slow for them, or they'd call me the crippled girl. And all of this does still happen, and yeah, it's not nice, it's not fun. So I just need able-bodied people to understand that if you come into contact with a disabled person who's relatively snappy, it's probably because they're expecting the discrimination and just the blatant rudeness from you. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of rude disabled people, but I know with me, I haven't come into contact enough with it yet, but I've heard many stories, and I reckon if I'd have been around it and been discriminated against and had blatant rudeness towards me all the time, I reckon I would become relatively snappy and short-tempered. Because, I mean, I've been around enough doctors who don't believe me enough to now assume that they won't. I've been around doctors that don't even believe in my condition, and it's like, well, there are plenty of other people with the same sort of condition, so, you know, it does exist. But yeah, discrimination is still a thing. Thankfully, I haven't encountered it as many times, but I know plenty of disabled people who have. Now, one weird thing, which I really have to explain, is that for some reason, people don't see me, or certain people don't see me. And I've never quite got my head around it, and I don't get how you can't see a girl who's on crutches that you can literally hear before you see, but this is a thing. Now these people just are so engrossed in, this isn't even necessarily a rude thing or them just being rude, I guess. It isn't, because people who have walked straight into me, knocking my shoulders out of joint, knocking me to the ground even, not all of them are horrible with their comments after. Some of them can be the most lovely people. They're so apologetic, they help me up, they feel so bad. And then others obviously don't. They're like, watch out, or watch where you're going, or get out my way, and there's all of that. But for some reason, people just don't see, certain people just don't see me, and I have no idea how, but they don't. And I know quite a few other disabled people can probably back me up on this, but these people are just so engrossed in what they're doing that they just walk straight into you, and I've ended up having to go to counselling to get over a fear of crowds, because I've developed that due to the fact the amount of people that just walk straight into me and have no regard or anything. So it is a problem, and if I can ask any able-bodied people, if I could ask anything of an able-bodied person, it would be to just keep an eye out. Like, I'd rather you be one of these people that stopped and stared at us, or stared at me, than just blatantly ignored. Because blatantly ignored is great to a point, but when you start walking into us and not seeing us and knocking us over or whatever, it's not fun. Not fun at all. The last one is probably the most important. Now, you kind of need to have a little bit of story, and I kind of brushed on this briefly with the first point, is that if there is something that you've been putting off that you enjoy doing, but you just can't be bothered to do, or for whatever reason you put it off, is to just go and do it. Because for me, I used to absolutely love running. You know, as a kid, I used to run everywhere. I used to be obsessed with running. If it didn't involve running, I wasn't interested. And then as a teenager, obviously, you know, it's not cool, so I stopped doing it. I wasn't bothered. It was too much effort. Admittedly, I was, looking back at it now, I was coming into the stages of quite bad. The signs of EDS were there and were getting more obvious, but I didn't obviously put two and two together. It was just growing pains back then. But I didn't continue running as a kid or as a teenager. And when I started doing it again, I then couldn't, because so I started doing it, and probably about 3 months in, I stopped again because I had a knee pain that I didn't want to make worse. But funnily enough, it never went away. So everything about running, it just made me feel free. Yeah, okay, it was hard work. I'm not saying it's not hard. It wasn't hard work, but as a teenager, wasn't really interested in hard work. But the adrenaline rush that you'd get after, and the just feeling, the good feeling you got, I miss that. I miss that more than anything. And if I got better tomorrow, I'd run everywhere. I'd never walk ever again, or hop, so to say. But if there is something that you're holding back from, for whatever reason, whether you just can't be bothered, whether you're too lazy, or whether you can't afford it or whatever, just try and get to do it. Because I mean, obviously if you don't have the money, but just try and do what you love doing, because you don't know when it'll be taken away. And I see a lot of young adults / teenagers, and my brother's guilty for it. He would just sit and play video games all day, and he can't be bothered to do anything. But he actually quite likes cooking, and it's like, well, do it then. Like, do what you love doing, because you just don't know when it will be taken away from you. And I know that a lot of people could probably say that, and you know, you could be in a car accident tomorrow, and I know that a lot of people go, oh, but you can't worry about those kind of things. No, you can't, and you shouldn't. But at the same time, you don't know. I didn't know I was going to become disabled. I did not know I was going to become a disabled 18-year-old. Like, spending my 18th birthday on crutches. I didn't know that I was going to be a blue badge holder, and I was going to be unemployed. Like, I've been working my entire life since I was 14. My entire life. It's not my entire life then, is it? Since I was 14, and I'm nearly 20, and I've been unemployed for the last, it must be 6 months now. But you just don't know. I didn't know. As a young kid, being on crutches was cool. Bless my naive little self. I mean, to all kids at one point it was cool to be on crutches, but you just don't know where the future's going to take. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make. You don't know. Do what you love. Be kind and considerate, and just try and understand. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.